Mhm. All right, we are now getting going here. Oh my goodness, it's happening. Right. Let's see. I think you are in the room. Yes, we already have people coming in the door. So, welcome. Welcome. I'm a little befuddled here. I'm trying to figure out, make sure that I've got chat set so that everybody can comment and you all can help me. Would somebody please type in chat that you can type in chat? And of course, good dog, let me know. Excellent. Good. Let me know what is in your glass. This is how I always start out. And some of you, you are right there. You know what I'm going to ask. And I am going to ask, what is in your glass for this happy hour? And I am going to say, doesn't matter what is in your glass. What is matter is that we are here together. Now, I'll tell you what's in my glass because it's actually pretty delicious. What's in my glass is a non-alcoholic cocktail, which is kind of a copy of something that I had a week or two ago at a restaurant when I asked the bartender for a non-alcoholic cocktail that wasn't sweet. And I got it was not fizzy water, this is fizzy water, but I got a cucumber water, and I've got cucumbers in here, with fresh mint. I've got fresh mint in here, and a squeeze of lime and a lime wedge. And what made it kind of interesting was that I could tell there was a little shake of salt in it, and it was delicious. So I have copied it for tonight with my cucumbers and my fresh mint from the garden, because we're talking about herbs, and it smells like mint. It is delicious. It's got lime in it. If you want a non-alcoholic cocktail that is delicious, use those ingredients. The restaurant, I think, made the cucumber water ahead of time and had cucumbers in the water well in advance because it did have that strong cucumber flavor. Of course, I did not do that because I just got back from Country Garden. And so there we are. Well, anyway, I see that you are already streaming into the room. If you have not been with me before, this is how we work things. You open up the chat window where you can make comments both to me and to other people. So that's fun. You can tell me if this is your first time on a happy hour. I always love knowing that. You can tell me what is in your cup or your glass, because that is fun as well. And in chat is where you will ask your questions after my presentation. So I give the presentation and then we will take questions in chat up until 6 o'clock, which is dinner time. And that's how we work it. Okay. So I've got so many great photographs to show you. And I'm so glad that so many of you are joining as frequent flyers, frequent happy hour attendees, as well as those of you who are new to our Friday events. We try to do at least one a month now. During COVID, we did one a week because we were desperate, right? We were desperate for something life affirming, but it has continued because plants and gardening are the most life affirming thing that I know. And so I look forward to celebrating that with you on Fridays. Let's get going with the presentations because it is so much fun to be able to share with you tonight the herbs and edible flowers. Okay. And let me tell you that this graphic here shows a couple of things. It shows some pansies that were pressed and dried. You know how you put them in between two sheets of paper in a book and you close the book and a week later they're pressed and dried. Well, you need pansies to do that with right now at this time of year. Or if you haven't planted some pansies, stick some in someplace so that you can do this, because you can use those pressed pansies on cookies and cakes later on. They make such beautiful baked goods. And basically, you put them on the cookies and cakes after they're baked, not before they're baked. So let's get going and start out with herbs. We're going to start out with herbs and move on to the edible flowers. An herb is defined as any seed-bearing plant that doesn't have a woody stem. Now, that's a lot of plants, including the banana plant, believe it or not. So there are many plants that officially are classified as an herb that you and I don't think of so much as herbs. We think of herbs as being lavender and sage and rosemary, right? And they absolutely are. But there are many other plants that are herbs as well. And there are herbs that either the leaves or the seed are used for food, flavor, or medicine. Now, usually, when we talk about an herb as opposed to a spice, the herb is the foliage, the spice is the seed or bark. So cinnamon is considered a spice. The star anise there that you see, that's considered a spice. And cardamom is considered a spice. But just to be a little contradictory about that, dill seeds are usually considered herbs. So there you go, one or the other. Herbs are often used for aromatherapy and garnishes in addition to food. And that's one thing that we prize about them. So we're going to talk a little bit about herb gardens and specific herbs here, and then we'll get on to edible flowers. First of all, for most herbs, you want full sun or part sun. You want at least 5 hours that include the noon hour. Now, if you have morning sun that goes until 12:30 or 1 o'clock, that's good enough for herbs. So as long as it's including part of the noon hour and you've got at least 5 hours of dead-on sun, your herbs will do well. You can plant them open, in a garden. You can have a dedicated herb garden such as this on the outside of your vegetable garden. You might have an herb garden that is set up with, an edging so it looks a little bit formal. Now, in the old days, people would use boxwoods as an edging. Unfortunately, right now, the boxwoods on Cape Cod are increasingly under attack by the box tree moth. At Country Garden, we are not even selling boxwoods this year because we don't want to sell a plant that is going to fail and die for people. So, and if you have questions about box tree moth, do search on our website at hyanniscountrygarden.com. Search in the little search bar there about box tree moth, and you will get my blog post about this nasty larva. Many people design an herb garden in circles, and you might decide to do that. There's something kind of magical about a circle, and so that's a fun thing to do with an herb garden. Or you might decide to do raised beds, like in this garden. This happens to be a very large herb garden that someone planted, larger even than most vegetable gardens. You might decide to have your front garden planted with herbs, like this place in Provincetown, that instead of a front lawn, they had herb beds surrounded by the crushed shells. Or you might install window boxes on the side of a fence. I thought this was pretty brilliant, using the side of a fence to hold an herb garden. This particular person had begonias on one panel of the fence and annuals on another panel of the fence, and they had made a system that held up the pots, that held up boxes or clay flower pots to grow those plants on the side of the fence. So, you can put an herb garden on a fence if you want. You can grow herbs in containers outside the kitchen door. And one of my favorite things is to have some herbs right outside the kitchen door. I also grow herbs in my vegetable garden. That's fine. But I love to have some things right out the door so that I can go out and take them for a drink, right? Or take them for a dish that I'm cooking. And in containers, you can grow herbs that maybe you're not familiar with. And that is one of the fun things about growing herbs is trying different plants. They're not very expensive. Most of the herbs are around $5. And so you can try different things in containers and see if you like it, see if you're going to continue. A couple of the herbs that I always have in containers are lemon verbena and the various mints and rosemary. We'll talk more about all of these plants coming up. But put some in pots right outside your kitchen door so you can go out and harvest them. If you have bigger containers, you can put several herbs in one pot. I would encourage you not to put mint or oregano in pots with other herbs. Use the smaller herbs, the ones that don't want to take over the world, together in a container, and that will be more successful. You can put herbs on the edge of a patio. You can put herbs up on a deck. And you can grow herbs on smart pots on the driveway if you want. Here are basil and parsley and sage in the smart pots, and they can be on a driveway if that's where you have enough sun. Or you can put them in boxes that are elevated up on the deck. We happen to have some really nice elevated boxes like this at Country Garden right now. So if you're interested in growing up and doing it in a wooden or a wooden and metal container, come and check out the ones that we've got in the front of the store because they're very attractive. And look at all the number of plants that you can fit in a box like this. A key to growing in containers and in the garden is good drainage. So if you are growing in a raised bed, of course you don't want to put plastic in the bottom of that raised bed. You want it open to the ground so that it can drain well. If you are growing in pots, you want the pot to have a drainage hole and nothing covering the drainage hole. Not a seashell, not a coffee filter. Don't do it. The drainage hole should be meeting the dirt, the soil that you have in the container. Now, if you are growing in the ground, you maybe want a little bit of soil amendment, a little bit of compost, but not too much. You certainly do not want to fill your containers or your raised beds with pure compost. The drainage is not good enough. And for herbs, you are better off with a sandier, leaner soil, believe it or not, because leaner soil produces herbs with better flavor. They're made for Cape Cod herbs are. They are. Now, if you are growing in containers, particularly small pots, like you see in this picture, you want to use an organic potting mix, something like either the Coast of Maine or the Espoma organic potting mix. If you are growing in larger smart pots or larger containers, I'm talking really big, you want loam or the Coast of Maine raised bed mix. The Coast of Maine raised bed mix has pretty good drainage. So that's a pretty sandy mix to use in a big container. Now you can grow these herbs very easily from seed. Cilantro, borage, and dill, easy to grow from seed. You can grow these from seed or from plants. And I know that many of our customers at Country Garden, they like to grow these from plants, which is great. But you can, if you want, grow these from seed. And pretty soon, my basil will be up. I just recently planted the seeds for that. I grow, I don't grow chives from seed, but you certainly can do it. So any of these, if you have enough time, grow them from seed. If you haven't started your fennel or your catnip or your parsley yet, start them from plants. Easy to do. And these are all easiest from small plants. Rosemary and lavender take forever to grow from seed. So don't do those unless you start in February. And all these others as well, they take a longer period of time from seed. Can you do it? Yes. But at this point in May, I think you probably want to grow these from plants. And boy, we have a great selection of herbs in already. And I'm going to talk more about this later, but it is quite warm. It is unusually warm for early May on Cape Cod. Normally, we say don't put these plants outside until the end of May. We've got them all, for the most part, or many of them outside already, and I think you are safe to do as well. Maybe the basil, you want to wait another week just to be sure. Your tomatoes, you probably want to wait another week just to be sure, but it's unusually warm out this year. So for your heat-loving herbs like the basil, the night should be reliably above 50 degrees. Frankly, when I check my app on my cell phone, they look like they are reliably above 50 degrees. And, at least until, let's see, Monday night is supposed to get down to 48. That's okay. 48 is fine. So we're, I think, good to go. Normally the end of May, but this is a warm spring, so I think you're in pretty good shape right now. Now, when it comes to the weather, there are no guarantees. So if in 10 days we have a freak 32-degree night, I'm sorry, but it does happen, right? The last time that we had a frost near Memorial Day was 1990. So it has been a while, and we're pretty safe at this point. But again, no guarantees when it comes to the weather. Let's talk about perennial herbs first. And first, we're going to talk about mint. We have many varieties of mint on the shelves now at Country Garden: peppermint, spearmint, apple mint. There are so many varieties of mint. I particularly love pineapple mint because of how beautiful it is. And here is the thing about mint. One of those little pots of mint, you can put it in a container that's at least 20 inches around, and it will be filling that container by the end of the summer. So you don't need more than one mint plant of any sort, including pineapple mint. And pineapple mint, like all the other mints, does spread if you put it in the ground. This is apple mint, and I planted my apple mint where I thought it would be contained by the house and by cement and by the asphalt driveway. Look over here on the far left. See where that apple mint is going? Yes, indeed. It grows in the crack between the cement foundation and the asphalt driveway. You cannot keep mint down. Spearmint is wonderful if you are going to do any number of the mint cocktails, then you definitely need spearmint. I love peppermint, peppermint for tea, peppermint for my non-alcoholic beverages. And peppermint is a great plant for bees as well. And the flowers are quite pretty in arrangement. So don't overlook the flowers of mints in your bouquets. Do not plant mint in your raised bed vegetable garden. It wants to take over your entire raised bed and then go on to the neighbor's house. Keep them in containers. Do that. They will spread through the cracks in your asphalt. They will spread under the fences into your neighbor's property. They will spread into your lawn. If you don't care and you just mow it, it makes that the most pleasant area to mow because you smell the mint, but you probably want to put them in a container. You will probably want to put your oregano in containers as well, especially Greek oregano. This plant wants to take over the world. It wants to give the mint a run for its money. And so you want to plant that usually in containers, although I will say this, it can be a good ground cover in the sun. So if you are looking for something, particularly on a slope, that might spread fairly quickly and take over in a sunny place with good drainage, oregano might be the plant for you. But don't put it in your raised bed vegetable garden, because pretty soon all you will have is oregano and you will not have room for your vegetables. Chives do not want to take over the world by spreading. Chives want to take over the world by seeding. So if you have a clump of chives, as I do next to my kitchen door, and believe me, I can't cook without fresh chives in the springtime. I will go out, and whether it's for salad dressings or on potatoes or in rice or on top of fish, fresh chives in the springtime, you've got to have them. And they're gorgeous as well. But when the flowers turn white or gray like this, pick them off ASAP, because they want to seed. They want to seed in your driveway. They want to seed in the cracks of your patio. They want to seed in your lawn. So be sure and deadhead those chives before they go to seed, when the flowers have turned dull and gray or brown. Sage is a beautiful plant. It works well in the perennial garden as well as in the herb garden. You can get varieties that flower, varieties that don't flower. The purple and the variegated are not reliably hardy here. Sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. But the plain with the silver foliage, that is a reliably hardy plant. Thyme is also quite hardy. If you have thyme growing from last year and you haven't cut it back yet, go out with a hedge trimmers, chop, 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 or a pair of scissors, snip, 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 and cut it down so that it refreshes. And I learned this from Master Gardener Mary Lopez years ago when I first became a Master Gardener, and I was helping in the demonstration garden at the fairgrounds to maintain the herb garden. And I was very timidly snipping off the top 1 or 2 inches of the thyme. And Mary said, no, she said, that's not how it's done. And she took her scissors in one hand, she took her other hand, she grabbed up the thyme, and she chopped it almost to the ground with a pair of scissors. And she said, that's how you do it. And that's right, she was right, that's how you do it. Now, creeping and woolly thyme are good ground covers. They're not culinary herbs, but if you need something that's pretty weed smothering for full sun, or something that does well on a very dry, sunny slope, creeping thyme and woolly thyme are good plants. And this is a great time to pick them up as a ground cover, again, because they aren't expensive. And they are pretty as ground covers as well. And the woolly thyme turns the foliage turns kind of a purple color in the winter time. So a lot to recommend them. Lavender, wonderful in the perennial garden, wonderful in the herb garden. You can use lavender flowers for a swizzle stick in your cocktails or your lemonade. You can make sachets out of them. It is a fun herb to grow. And the hardiest lavender on Cape Cod is Munstead or Phenomenal. Those are the really pretty hardy plants. Now, every once in a while, we do have a winter where lavender goes, and I did lose a fair number of lavender plants this past winter. Whether it was because of the dry fall, winter, and desiccating winds, a lot of our plants did suffer because of those conditions, including things like rhododendrons, or whether it was something else, I don't know. But by the way, if you want to remember any of the words, the plant names that I'm putting up, take a screenshot, shoot a picture with your cell phone if you want, or this is being broadcast on Facebook Live. Hi, Facebook people. And it will be up there so you can watch it again if you need to go back and review these names, all right? Or if you want to tell somebody about this, they can watch it on our Facebook page of Hyannis Country Garden on Facebook. Oh, the lavender farm. If you haven't been, you've got to go in Harwich, right? So beautiful. Lavender is so gorgeous when it is in bloom in late June and early July. So by all means, enjoy that lavender when it's in bloom. After it finishes blooming, however, you want to shear it. Lavender loves good drainage and heat. That is where lavender is most happy. Your best lavender will grow next to your stone patio, or next to your asphalt driveway, or next to your gravel path, or your gravel area. That's where lavender will grow best. It loves reflected heat. Here you can see lavender growing in pure sand, right? And they have sheared the lavender here after it has finished flowering to keep the lavender plant tight and full. That is the key to having it not flop open and become kind of woody and less than attractive, is shearing it when the lavender flowers have finished blooming. And usually that's sometime in August, early August. French tarragon is a nice plant to grow if you like that tarragon flavor in cooking. And look for the varieties that are labeled French tarragon, not Russian tarragon. The French tarragon has the best flavor. We have plenty of plants at Country Garden that are labeled French tarragon. And this is also a plant that needs heat and doesn't like to go outside too early. I think you're probably in good shape right now, but if you even wait until the daytime temperatures are in the 70s, this plant is going to be even happier than it is on days like this where the days can be in the 60s. Consider it a tender plant. Sometimes the French tarragon makes it through the winter and sometimes it doesn't. If you want to increase its chances of going through the winter, it needs good winter drainage. Now let's talk about some annual herbs, and these are annuals on Cape Cod, of course, because that's where I'm talking. If you happen to be joining me from more southern climates, these might be perennials for you. All right, lemon verbena. I would not be without it. I haven't bought my lemon verbena plant yet this year, but I need to get it because lemon verbena is an aromatherapy plant. It is a plant for if you're feeling a little grumpy, pick a sprig of lemon verbena and just smell it for a little while. If you have to get in the car and run errands, pick a sprig of lemon verbena and take it with you in the automobile. If you're making a little bouquet for a friend who needs cheering up, pick a sprig of lemon verbena and include it in that bouquet. Now, rosemary can also be an aromatherapy herb. To me, rosemary always reminds me of my mother-in-law. She was Italian and she used rosemary quite a bit in cooking, especially with chicken. So it brings back good memories. I happen to have loved my mother-in-law, and so that brings back good memories for me of her. Rosemary is sometimes hardy on the Cape and sometimes not. Depends on the winter, totally. So you can plant it outside in a sunny place with good drainage. Maybe it'll make it, maybe it won't. We often sell plants with big upright stems. They're labeled barbecue rosemary. And the reason is what people do with this is they cut a long stem and then they will thread pieces of meat or fish or even vegetables right on the stem so that the rosemary is going right through the vegetable, the pepper, or the beef or the fish, whatever you are cooking, and you brush it with oil and you throw it on the barbecue, and the flavor and the fragrance is incredible. Salem is a variety that happens to overwinter well indoors. We sometimes get in Salem labeled as roasting rosemary. If you see rosemary at Country Garden that's labeled as roasting rosemary, that is Salem. And it happens to be a variety of rosemary that is less sensitive to hours of daylight, so it lasts better indoors through the winter time. But you got to have it. You got to have rosemary. And you know, if you want to give somebody a little token of your affection, clip a couple of long sprigs of rosemary. The barbecue rosemary is particularly great for this. And you tie the base of it together with some fairly heavy duty thread. You bend the top together, and you can see here, you tie the thread up here and you pull those down so that you have a rosemary heart. And you know what they say, rosemary is for remembrance. So give somebody that you're fond of a rosemary heart. They can use it in cooking, they can hang it on their door, or they can just put it on their kitchen counter and smile every time they remember how thoughtful you were. Fennel is a fun plant, both for how it looks as well as for the flavor. I love how it looks. We use the bottom fennel bulbs that we grow in salads and cooking. And then the tops, oftentimes I will just put in a vase and use it for a bouquet. It is a beautiful plant. And by the way, marigolds last forever, even when they're not in water. So don't be afraid to pick some marigolds and have them on your table or on your kitchen counter. They'll look good for 4 or 5 days, even though they're not in water. Bronze fennel self-seeds like crazy. Many people regret that they ever planted bronze fennel. Just warning you. All right. Catnip. If you have a cat, you must grow it. Okay, get a couple of plants, put them in the garden. Oftentimes they self-seed, so you will have a plant or two that returns. And boy, there is nothing like a cat who is blissed out on catnip. This is Meaton, and Meaton loved when I gave her catnip, and she would toss it around and roll on it. And then she would just, just bliss out with that catnip. So grow some catnip for your cat or for a friend's cat. Dill happens to be beautiful in bouquets. It is beautiful in the garden. It attracts all kinds of pollinators. The foliage, of course, is great if you're cooking. If you're making pickles, you want both the flowers and the foliage to put in the jars of pickles because they both look beautiful and they both flavor your dill pickles so beautifully. If you want dill continually all summer, sow some seeds every month. And you want to do that also with coriander, aka cilantro. Sow seeds every month. Both dill and coriander tend to go to seed and go to flower quickly in hot weather. And that's why you sow the seeds every month so that you always have some coming along. Coriander, aka cilantro, also is good for sowing underneath taller vegetables like eggplant or pepper plants, or even in between your tomatoes, because those taller vegetables shade the coriander just a little bit. And that's good because then it doesn't self-seed, then it doesn't go to seed as quickly. And this is coriander in the garden. If you're making guacamole, you gotta have it. You gotta have it. Now, there are some people who are genetically predisposed to having coriander taste like soap. If you are one of those people, you don't like coriander. So, and that's fine. And know who your friends are who are that way so that you can make them guacamole without the coriander. And for everybody else, you can put it in the guacamole because it just makes guacamole. Let's talk about basil, because I know for many of us, summer wouldn't be summer without fresh basil. I not only need some plants of fresh basil right outside my kitchen door so that I can go out and harvest as I need it, a sprig here or a sprig there, but my husband and I plant at least 2 15-foot-long rows of basil plants so that we can make pesto and freeze it for the winter. Right now, at this time of year, we are still having basil, fresh pesto that's been frozen from the garden. We have basil pasta with pesto frequently, and we can do that all summer long because we freeze so much of it. Also, if you make that pesto with just olive oil and basil and freeze it in flat patties, then anytime you need some basil for a pasta sauce, anytime you need basil for a soup, for Thai cooking even, it works. It's a little different than Thai basil, but it does the job. And you can just cut off a piece of that disc of frozen pesto and throw it in whatever you're cooking, and you have that fresh basil flavor. So grow this. Lemon basil, can't beat it as a garnish, can't beat it for cocktails. And you can't beat it as a pot plant on, and you can mix it in with your annuals as well. But you got to know about basil downy mildew. If you have grown basil and it has done this sometime in July, you have basil downy mildew. And once you have the spores around your garden, you're not going to get rid of it. So what you need, if you have seen this in your garden or in your containers, you need basil plants that say DMR on them. This stands for downy mildew resistant. All right, and right now we've got small plants and big plants like this one that say DMR. There are a few different varieties. Prospera is one. The Rutgers hybrids are another, but this is what you need to get so that you will have enough basil and it's not going to succumb to basil downy mildew. You can have this all summer long in your garden if you have a downy mildew resistant plant. I always grow parsley. I like the plain, AKA Italian flat parsley. I think most cooks prefer that for cooking, and then we'll use the curly parsley for garnishing. But for cooking, the flat parsley, I think, is where it's at. Parsley is a biennial, meaning it grows one year, it blooms the next, and then it dies. So for the first year you plant it, it's going to be like this, all foliage. Then you will see it in May coming up again from last year, and you will say, oh, my parsley is coming back. Well, it's only coming back for a month because very quickly it will come into bloom and go to seed, right? So if you have parsley from last year that you think is coming back, buy new parsley anyway, because your old parsley is going to go to seed and you are not going to have it all summer long. If you are fortunate enough to see your parsley disappearing because of this little guy, do not bother him. Give him your parsley gladly, because this is the larva of a black swallowtail butterfly, and they are few and far between these days. So feel good about letting this guy have your parsley. I love bay leaves. This is my bay plant. As you can see right now, 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide. We have to use a hand truck to carry it into the garage for the winter. But if you do have a basil in a container, it is easy to overwinter it, but try and overwinter it in a place where it's cold. Because if you overwinter it in a place that's around 50 degrees, it doesn't get scale. If you bring it into a warm house, it will probably get scale. We have ours in the garage next to a window that's on a door. It doesn't have to get a lot of light in the wintertime. It can be semi-dormant if it's cool. And then you bring it outside again in the beginning of May, and you will have more basil leaves than humans should be allowed to have. Borage. Oh, it's blue. It's gorgeous. The bees love it. You must have it in your garden. However, with borage, this is a plant that, although it's edible, we'll discuss this again in a minute, but although it's edible, it's a little bit fuzzy. Borage as an herb has a cucumber-like flavor, but it's kind of fuzzy. So just be aware. This on the right hand is golden delicious pineapple sage. Right now at Country Garden, we do have the green pineapple sage. We usually do get golden delicious in, so watch for that later. The advantage of both pineapple sages is that they bloom late in the fall, and these are perfect nectar sources for late to migrate hummingbirds. There are some hummingbirds that do not travel with the pack. They are later to migrate, later to come through, or later to leave because they have to build up a little weight before they have the oomph to go south. And for those, it is great if you can have some pineapple sage so that they will have something to feed on as they head out of town. Lemon verbena, I mentioned you got to have it as an aromatherapy herb. One small plant turns into a big plant. And so put one in the pot, put one in your garden. It's a pretty plant. It is fragrant. Put one where you sit outside in the evening so that you can stroke it and have that fragrance. All right, let's talk about edible flowers. And then we'll get to as many questions as we have time for. But I want to assure you, if you have a question and you type it into chat, I will save chat and I will answer all questions that were in chat on the Hyannis Country Garden blog on Monday if I don't get to them tonight. All right. So you want flowers because they are what I call hashtag instant elevation. They will elevate any dish, whether it is a salad or something else. Edible flowers make the food that you put on your table special. And let's start with what you might still have right now, which are tulip petals. Tulip petals are delicious. And you can put them in salads as a spring salad. You can use them to hold a little bit of hummus or goat cheese or whatever the cheese, your soft cheese of your choice is. They are actually quite tasty and they are beautiful. You, of course, want to use your own homegrown tulips, not tulips that you have purchased as cut flowers, because those are not organically raised. And so unless you buy them from Wicked Tulips in Rhode Island, in which case they are organic. But you want organically raised tulips, and the best way to do that, of course, is to grow them your own. And you can use a tulip petal to garnish the beverage of your choice. I call this one a tuliptini because it is garnished with a tulip petal and a sprig of mint. Nasturtiums, you gotta grow nasturtiums for the edible flowers and the leaves. Almost every night in the summer, my husband and I will have a salad that has nasturtium flowers and nasturtium leaves in it. They are both a little bit spicy, so they have an interesting flavor and instant elevation. Instant elevation for putting inside your hand-rolled sushi rolls, whether you have, these are just vegetable rolls, these are garden vegetable rolls, there's no raw fish here. A sushi roll does not have to have raw fish in it. And these are all made with vegetables from my garden, and the beautiful and tasty nasturtium flowers are a part of those rolls. Throw your nasturtium flowers on your pizza. And what you do is you wait until your pizza is done, throw the nasturtium flowers on the top, put it back in the oven until they wilt, matter of 2 minutes, and then serve the pizza so that the nasturtium flowers still look like flowers and they are instant pizza elevation. You can put nasturtium flowers as well as foliage on your homemade nachos. So make your own nachos with your garden ingredients, of course, and put the nasturtium flowers on there. Nasturtiums go beautifully with Rose of Sharon flowers, and that can be used in a salad or as a garnish on top of potato salad or any other dish. Oregano Kent Beauty has edible flowers, kind of a strong oregano flavor, but beautiful. Again, put those on your potato salad when you're going to somebody's barbecue and it's potluck. They will ooh and awe at Kent Beauty flowers. Bee balm is also very good to use on anything that you would put oregano on. The bee balm flowers, sprinkle them on top of your pizza, sprinkle them on pasta with red sauce, and they are beautiful, and the flavor is very close to oregano. Borage, as I mentioned, is fuzzy, so they probably are better as garnish on food than, on a dish where you're going to eat a lot of them. Where the tulip petals, you wouldn't mind eating a lot of them. These, because they're a little fuzzy, they do taste like cucumber, but in moderation, in moderation. Calendula petals don't have much flavor, but they are beautiful on dishes. So you must grow calendula. You can buy plants in our annual section pretty soon. We'll probably get those in next week is my guess. You can also grow them from seed, easy to grow from seed. And you put them on top of pasta. You put them on a salad, right? Beautiful. You put them even on a spiral phyllo dough with cheese that you buy at Trader Joe's. And it's special party food. So grow calendula to make even something that's store-bought look beautiful. All right, so now we're going to take questions until 6. Type them in chat. I'm going to go back and we are going to stop the share here. You can always, of course, email me, clfornari@countrygarden.com. So by all means, type the questions in chat. Okay, what is a smart pot? Christine, that is a fabric container. You can see them at Country Garden. They come in all sizes, and they allow you to grow any plant anywhere, basically. Because they are fabric, yes, the drainage is good, but also they happen to grow plants really well because since the sides are porous, the plants get root pruned. There are many professional cannabis growers who raise all their cannabis in smart pots. I didn't include that. I should have included that in herbs, shouldn't I? Oh, well. There are many who grow in commercial operations, cannabis in smart pots. My husband and I grow all of our potatoes in smart pots. So right now on the edge of our tomato patch, we have all the potatoes growing in the big cannabis, in the big smart pot fabric containers. And if you come and visit my garden during the Hydrangea Festival, you can see all of that. You can put a smart pot on the driveway, and so you can grow food on your driveway. There is a group of people in Quebec City, Canada, that put smart pots on the roofs of homeless shelters, and they grow fresh food for the soup kitchens that are underneath. So a smart pot is a wonderful thing, and go and check them out at Country Garden. Who else has a question? I'm using the bay leaf in sauces and stews. Yes, I am using the bay leaf in sauces and stews too. Now, there are some people that love the taste of bay, and they will soak bay leaves in spirits of some sort, like vodka, and then use it in cocktails. So, that's an option as well. Who else wants to, let's see, okay. Everybody can talk to everybody. So yes, you can type something in chat here if you have a question. If you have a suggestion of what you would like a future happy hour to be about, by all means, type that in chat here, or you could also type it in the comments on our Facebook live stream on the Country Garden page, because I am always interested in knowing what you would like to, have more information about in the future. All right, can you talk about companion herbs? You can pretty much grow any herbs with anything, number one. Number two, a lot of the information that you will see online about companion plants and about planting this with that plant, or don't plant this with that plant because this plant hates that plant. Most of it is BS, I got to tell you. If you are very interested in science-based companion planting, get this book. It's called Plant Partners by Jessica Walliser. It is, as far as I know, the only science-based companion planting book. So, and so look for this one, number one. Number two, it makes sense to grow shorter herbs in between taller ones in terms of the use of your space. So you could grow the parsley and you could grow cilantro, for example, in between the basil plants in your garden. And that's particularly important for raised beds where you might have limited space. So that makes good companion planting. And you can grow things like lettuce or smaller herbs in between your garlic. If you've planted garlic last fall and you have those spaced out about 6 inches apart, in between you can scatter some arugula seeds or cilantro seeds or lettuce seeds, because then by the time you're harvesting the garlic around the 4th of July, you're done harvesting that lettuce anyway. So think about companion herbs as being the best use of your space, not necessarily for insect and animal control, because most of those garlic keeps aphids away from roses and those sort of things. It's not true. Okay, the DMR basil, can the seeds be purchased? Yes, they can. I don't know whether we have them anymore at Country Garden, but we had for a while the Rutgers hybrid seeds. And if you can't find them at our garden center, then by all means look at Johnny's or other sources for Rutgers hybrids. So yes, you can find seeds for DMR basil, and you can even look at that. Are chive flowers edible? Yes, they are. And a few of them sprinkled on top of a salad has that oniony, alum-y flavor. And so if you like that fresh onion flavor, then sprinkling them on or in a dish is a fine thing to do. I'm a person that prefers cooked onion and cooked garlic to raw. So I don't use the flowers off of my allium, but you certainly can. Let's see, you could do something on forcing bulbs. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you for the suggestions, by the way. And climbing plants, that's a very good suggestion, because I don't think I have done a happy hour about climbers. So we'll definitely put that on the books. Let's see, is it too late to grow flat Italian parsley seeds? Probably not, but if I were you, you can buy flat Italian parsley in like 4 packs in the garden center, and they're cheap. So if I were you, I'd just buy the little plants, not in pots, but in the 4 or 6 packs. I noticed that a lot of the growers now, they're shipping things in 4 packs, not 6 packs. The cost of their seeds have gone up. You know, a lot of their seeds are being imported, and we all know what's happening there. So big sigh, nothing is getting cheaper. But so instead of making the little packs more expensive, some of them are coming in 4 packs now instead of 6 packs. Still a bargain when you're talking about vegetables and herbs. So you might want to do that with your flat Italian parsley. And I still have to get some of those in the packs as well. The picture behind me was taken a couple of years ago, but I'm using it today because this is how the Taj looks right now. If you have not been into Country Garden recently, come in. Your heart will go pitter patter because the whole green house there is full. There are hanging baskets galore. For many people, we recognize that it is their tradition to buy their mother a hanging basket for Mother's Day. If that's your tradition, come on in, because we have them by the dozens, by the hundreds. So come on in and see them. We have tropicals like that tropical hibiscus behind us as well. And there happens to be tomorrow a plant a container event for Mother's Day where you could come in with your kids or your grandkids. And you sign up in advance on our website, hyanniscountrygarden.com, and you pay whatever the fee is, which I don't know off the top of my head. And you will come in and you will get instruction, and you can pick the plants and put them in a pot and plant up a container that then makes a wonderful mother's or grandmother's gift for Sunday. So you can find that on the events page at hyanniscountrygarden.com. Gail, welcome. This is your first Friday. Welcome. If this is your first Friday, let me know that. I've always loved to see that. The other thing that I want you to know about is that I am at Country Garden every Friday from 9 to 3 through the growing season to give free plant advice, design advice. I advise people about their cannabis crop. I advise people about their foundation planting. I advise people about their vegetables. I identify weeds. Bring in pictures of what you have a question about. Today, we did several foundation plantings for people, sketches of what plants. Usually I will give 3 or 4 options for any location so that then you can Google image those plants and see which one you like the best and know that it is right height for that location, right for that amount of light, right? Whether it's shady or full sun, you'll know that I am suggesting a plant that is right for that location. I am not just suggesting any old plant that comes to my brain or what we might have a lot of. I want you to be happy with your landscape and your garden. And if you tell me you want a low maintenance plant, I'm not going to advise that you plant delphiniums, for example, or something else that isn't going to live. I'm not going to advise you to plant something that's going to spread. So Fridays between 9 and noon in the morning and between 12:30 and 3, first come, first serve. You don't sign up in advance, just show up. And sometimes you might have to wait 15 or 20 minutes, in which case you can shop among the plants. If there's more than one person waiting, I have a little list going so that we know who came in when. And I look forward to seeing you. And feel free to bring in plants and find out what they are. I love playing Stump the Chump. So come in and stump me. We'll see we'll see where we get. Well, thank you so much for being with me tonight. I look forward to seeing you at Hyannis Country Garden. I look forward to being with you again coming up in June. We have one of these in June, and the Friday cocktail hour in July will be about hydrangeas, Cape Cod's favorite plant. So I hope to see you again soon, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend.